looks like we have audio.
I think we definitely are recording. Hey everybody, this is Jimmy Doan Show. As you can probably see, Facebook seems to be down at the moment.
Yep.
So we are trying to stream live straight to YouTube. And it looks like it's working,
All right.
which is nice.
Which is nice.
So we hope you join us. If not, I'm going to post another copy of this right up on YouTube with a time-stamped, dated thing for your viewing pleasure. Today is the 13th of March, 2019. And sorry for the technical difficulty. That's obviously why we're a little bit late here as well.
Apparently Facebook is, I was looking on Facebook and
It's a nuclear attack.
apparently it's been out for about 5 hours as near as I can figure.
Huh. Okay.
I've got nothing on my Facebook page in the last 5 or 6 hours.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, there we go.
And of course, as popular as I am, I usually get,
Two, at least.
at least two, one or two, right? That's right.
All right.
Okay, here we are. Okay, this is good.
That's it.
All right, well, we got a couple. Okay, sorry for the delay, folks. This is what happens when you have a technical glitch. But
What
you know,
nuts? It wasn't for the first time ever.
it wasn't your fault, right?
That's right.
That's right. In the curse of Curtis.
That's right. For people who don't know, I have a poltergeist who lives in my computer and messes things up all the time.
Yeah, actually, it's apparently in your fingers because any computer you
Any
touch.
computer I touch. That's right.
Okay, just to get started, I need to
Okay.
do an update on West Wing.
Oh God.
I'm sorry. For those of you who have Netflix, I've been streaming or binging
Yeah.
on West Wing, and of course I'm on season 5 now.
Obsessing, I think.
Obsessing. Oh, totally obsessing. So yesterday, I was watching season 5, episode 12 and episode 13.
Okay.
Now these were written about 1993 or 1994.
Did you go back and check that? Is that how you know
How do I know what?
when they're written?
Yeah, it says copyright, whatever
Okay.
it is. I believe it's 94.
Okay.
When you think about it, the series it started with episode 1 in 1999. This is episode 5, so do the math. 94, which would
Right.
be
You just said it started in '99 and episode 5 is in '94.
2004. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Excuse me. Yes. Forget all that. 2004.
Okay.
So that's 15 years ago.
Right.
And episode 12, among other things, talks about Social Security and how they're going to fund it and all this, that, and the other thing and what they're going to do about the old people and the young people. And,
Well, let's see. That's not even relevant today because they fixed it in the interim.
well, it's funny you should say that, of course, because the battle on this is absolutely, you look at this and you think, you go forward 15 years,
Same
thing. I mean, exactly. And of course, they didn't fix it. That's
Right.
the whole point. Is they were getting ready to. They were doing this, and of course, these rascally Republicans were the ones that were standing in the way. Remember now, Jed Bartlett is a Democrat,
Right.
But they do have Republicans in there from time to time, and you know when you look at the people that.
Oh, so back in 2004, the Republicans were still conservative.
Yes.
That's so weird.
They wanted to throw the women and children out into the streets, and the old people, let them die off. They're living too long, for God's sake. So
Right.
when it was
Sucking up those resources.
That's right. Well, and of course the ultra liberal Toby, he comes on there and says, well, they were never meant to live for an extra 20 years, on this kind of stuff. But you can't if you raise the retirement age, there's going to be a rebellion, and you can't do that.
Yeah, too bad.
Yeah, too bad. Right. Well, so anyway, I mean, the argument is carbon. I think these people are watching West Wing.
Right,
I think
right.
that's what it is. I mean, except for the
I know what to say today.
Huh?
I know what to say today.
Right,
I
exactly.
saw Toby say it yesterday.
Now, and also, episode 13 is about NASA. And this was had to do with shuttle and all and the funding for all this stuff, and it was spot on. I mean, it's had to do with just everything you can imagine. It was all about the discussions and so forth. And of course the actors and actresses are phenomenal. I hate to be, I'm not getting paid by West Wing or anybody else, Alan Sorkin or whatever. But I tell you right now, if you're on And from time to time, like next Sunday when we're on the show, I'll have an update for you on some more.
Which,
of course, you'll love
you're missing it.
In case you're missing it, right?
Well, and so this is interesting because, of course, Trump proposed his $4.7 trillion,
Let me just mention, they were talking on the show about the $2 trillion.
and they were freaking out.
And they were freaking out.
Freaking out about.
I mean, and they were talking about a $200 or $300 billion deficit.
freaking out about.
Freaking out. How can we live with this?
It's It's going to be 10 times that. 15 years later.
It's just all you have to do. Look, you could go. You could put this on on your script and cross out a few of the numbers and do it again.
Yeah, add a 0 to the numbers.
That's exactly.
Wow. And what I'm curious, it's interesting because Trump proposed this budget. I don't understand why he had any cuts at all in there.
Well, now they did say that they did have it. He had to pay for the increased military. But they're talking about slashing, of course, which is a joke.
Yes.
Slashing Medicare and Social Security. Now, one of the things that there's two things. First of all, you do know that this budget is supposed to be passed by the end of September.
It's not.
I mean, all the negotiations. This is a wish list. This is. I'm throwing this out there.
That's why I'm saying. And so, if it's a wish list, why why not just put everything in there and then just say I asked for everything?
I guess it's one of those things where you say, look, I got cuts.
But who is he even saying that to these days? Nobody is even
saying it to Mrs. Jimmy.
I guess.
Yeah, no, Mrs. Jimmy is part of the ultra
big, huge cuts, slashing in there.
Slashing. Well, one of the things that people
in the
don't realize
world's largest budget ever.
Right. Well, a lot of things that people don't realize is that Social Security and Medicare, which were never authorized at all, even remotely by the Constitution, now consume 2/3 of the whole budget. 2/3. And you're talking about a multi-trillion-dollar deficit, which means that if you cut Medicare and Medicaid to 0, you would have a slight surplus.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how bad it is.
Yeah, but of course, everybody would die.
Right.
If you did that,
they would, yeah, right. Nobody would take care of anybody
without
else.
the government.
No.
Even though the same people are alive with the same money, in fact, they would have more money.
Right.
Well,
of course,
unless they're forced at the point of a gun to take care of one another,
right?
We're not going to do that.
Of course, you can see how this happens.
Only
because
the caring people have
all the millennials and all the people that are even not even my age, but younger than I am, your age and younger, when Grandma says, I've ran out of Social Security, you'd say, too bad, Grandma. Where do you want the needle?
That's right.
Look, go to Oregon. They'll take care of it, or the Netherlands. They'll take care of you. But I mean, it is just interesting to see the total unbelievable disconnect. So, anyway, there's a lot of other stuff that's happened that I haven't totally gotten into, and maybe I'll have to save that. Had to do with the new. Not Ocasio, but the other one, Ilya, whatever her name is.
Ilhan Omar?
Yeah, she's come under. But anyway, let me move on.
Go ahead.
The first thing, and this is only in order of chronological order.
Primary importance first. That's how we do it here. This is the most. Come on, you got at least pitch a little.
Well, okay.
None of this is important at all. No, look, I'm not saying you have to rearrange the order. I'm just saying you have to say that the first thing you're going to say is important. At least it's important.
Okay, well, the most important thing today is the Venezuelans are going to swarm.
Aha! I can take us to Venezuela once again, where we love to go.
The Venezuelans swarm to the rainwater drain-offs in desperate search for water, and it shows a picture of them with their buckets, when it rains, or the runoff from the streets and everything, and they're down there, collecting buckets of water because that's what they have to drink. That's all they have to drink.
What? There was something about oil.
Well, that's the other thing. What happened is, since the electricity is out, the pumps that pump the city municipal water aren't working, and so when it does work, apparently they have an oil influx into the water supply system. So now when you turn on the tap, now here you have to understand now, this is two things. So oil is coming out with the water.
So they can sell the oil.
Well, exactly. What you do is you turn on your faucet, you get yourself a gallon, and you run down to the port and you sell it off for whatever it is. But the beauty is of this, which is interesting, is considering that Venezuela has probably the second, now compared to the United States, the second largest oil reserves in the world, and that's the whole economy and so forth. to think that the only way you can get oil out is through the tap water. It's just, you're sitting there thinking,
The irony.
I mean, it's so thick, you have to cut it with a butcher knife.
By the way, we were way off on our estimation of the size of Venezuela.
Oh, were we?
Yeah, we got totally fooled by the Mercator map there.
Okay.
350,000 square miles.
What I said it was half the size of Texas?
Yeah, and that would be 125,000 square miles.
So it's the size of Texas.
it's bigger than
Texas.
Yeah.
Ah,
By
there you have it. Interesting you should say that, of course. Slight aside, hold up, everybody. Slight little thing here. One of the West Wing episodes was about these people that wanted to change the map.
Do it upside down.
Yeah, they wanted to do it upside down and have it redone in another way. And they said because, you look at Greenland, on the Mercator map, it's this huge.
Yeah.
And you look at the other things, and so they said, people are it was racist. The map was racist, because it was assigning undue proportion to white people,
Right.
in the size, and and lesser to people non-white, and so he said they want to change it. And when you saw it on West Wing, it was and actually CJ, kind of actually said, well, maybe I should take this to the president.
Sure. Well, and speaking of incredibly racist stories about weird phenomenon, did you see the one where now air pollution is racist?
No, I missed that.
Oh my God. So it just came out today. USA Today has said.
Well,
that,
if it's USA Today, it came out yesterday.
okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, it came out.
No, I'm sorry. You're right. Today's Wednesday. I'm sorry. I think today's Sunday. Yeah, you're right. Okay, today.
So it came out and said that that the white people have caused more pollution than any other race, and that they're not sucking it in like the other races.
Okay.
So basically, the climate change is the white man's fault.
Okay.
And so is pollution.
Okay.
And so I'm guessing there'll be some, I don't know, reparations.
Reparations, that's right.
Something that has to do with.
Well, I got no problem with this because what you do is you get your little 1, 2, 3 DNA thing, and if you're a person of color, we give you an oxygen tank.
There you go.
Right
and
there.
You can carry it with
You
you.
can carry it with you. So fresh air, guaranteed.
Yeah.
So I got no problem. So
Yeah, and just to clarify, just because a policy or a thing has a disproportionate effect on races doesn't make it racist. Everything has a disproportionate effect on races. If a bomb exploded over the United States, it would disproportionately affect each of the races just because of the demographic distribution. But that doesn't mean that the bomb was racist, okay?
yes, it does.
does, I
What are you
know.
talking about? White man's bomb.
Apparently.
In that movie, I didn't see any people of color out there in Alamogordo, or wherever it was that they were making the bomb.
Yeah.
So that's obviously we're going to exterminate those people. So, they wanted to exterminate the yellow people. Well,
Oh, and that's another thing. You want to talk about air pollution? I think we got to count the Asians.
yes. Okay. So you're not getting off the hook.
Yeah, I think they're counted as white people though in certain.
Well, they're certainly. It reminds me a little bit of.
They're whiter than we are.
Yeah. I don't know about that, but what is interesting that I was watching one of the great movies of all time the other day called Little Big Man, which was Dustin Hoffman, and he lived to be 100 and some years old. It was his story, and the Indians called themselves humans. They were the humans,
Okay.
and the other people were, they were the foreigner, barbarians, the soldiers and everybody.
Okay.
Murdoch's. This is an ongoing story.
Okay.
This is another irony that you won't believe. Murdoch's News Corps calls for Google breakup. Now, you understand Murdoch owns he's like out of James Bond as far as the number of newspapers that he owns. I forget which one that was, but there was the newspaper magnate after Murdoch, modeled after Murdoch to take over the world.
Hearst.
Yeah, right. Well, or more like Murdoch, I think. But anyway, because the guy, whatever.
Hearst was magazine.
The guy, I think he had an English accent. So anyway, of course it would be Australian. Murdoch's News Corps has called for Google to be broken up in Australia, the latest salvo in the battle between the corporate media giants, which is interesting because I don't know why Google hasn't called for Murdoch to be broken up. Not sure what that's all about.
Yeah, this is use all your tools. Why not send in the army?
Send in the guns. That's right. So, in a petition to Australian regulators, he says that Google enjoys overwhelming market power, both online search and ad tech services. He accused Google of abusing its dominant position in the detriment of consumers, advertisers, and publishers. Now, as a consumer myself, I'm not sure I have so much of a detriment. Before I came over here, I had like 30 seconds to do something online because of what Mrs. Jimmy wanted to do. I had literally called up the company, made an appointment online, had him text me back, and then I texted him back, all in the space of maybe a minute.
Sounds like abuse.
Yes, abuse. So
look, this is straight out of Elizabeth Warren wants to break
we're going
up.
to talk about her.
And
I got
this
her.
to me, all you have to do if you don't like these companies is just not use them. That's all you got to do. And if enough people are with you, they just disappear.
Let me just tell you, for what it's worth.
But she
just-
wants to
just
mobilize
mark
the
this down.
marshals.
Use DuckDuckGo as your browser.
Okay.
It's private. It's private-ish.
Okay.
And if that all fails, buy yourself a $100 a year VPN, virtual private network. Use DuckDuckGo as your browser. You're off. You're out. You're on. Nobody, everything gets, you don't have to worry anymore, basically. Not everything, but of course, whenever you go on Facebook, you got a problem. Anyway.
She was talking about, Elizabeth Warren said, just real quick, she goes, Google, these big giant companies keep snapping up rising competitors.
I'm getting to that.
Okay.
I'm getting to that. So Elizabeth Warren became the latest in a line of commentators to argue that firms such as Amazon, Google, and Facebook hold too much power. And News Corp echoed her argument that Google's business plan should be split. Failing that, search and advertising business should be firewalled off from each other. And of course, the guy in Australia says divestment is necessary in the case of Google due to the unparalleled power that it currently exerts over publishers and advertisers alike. And of course, you don't have to use it if you don't like it. But the other thing that's it's interesting, she's got a plan, and what she wants to do. Let me just go here and get this advertiser alike, and forget that. She wants to promote more competition by breaking them up, and the Warren legislation is needed to ensure a real opportunity for new, innovative competitors to exceed, as if Google and all those people weren't innovators.
Well, not only that, but she flat out says that recently they have purchased up emerging competitors,
Right,
in order to eliminate the competition,
right,
which says, of course, two things. Number one, there are emerging competitors.
right.
I mean, there they are, right there.
That's right.
And they benefited and got rich.
Yep.
So I mean, it was a win-win-win-win-win-win.
Well, of course, the idea is, there's the old theory about the automobile companies holding back the tire company.
Yeah.
The theory was that so that the tires will wear out or whatever it is. I forget what it is. All kinds of stuff. You're not going to get 100 miles a gallon because guess what? They've bought up all the innovations that would like.
Yeah, that's what I always hear that too. Yeah, there's an engine out there that runs on water that gets 100 miles to the gallon.
Well, think about it for a second. Why wouldn't it?
A little electrolysis.
It's oxygen, which is
and hydrogen.
How can you not? Of course, you can have that.
I totally am with you. I totally am with you. But what the thing that I'm not with is that if I were the company that bought up that technology and I had a bunch of cars, if I had a manufacturing plant, I would immediately start manufacturing those cars.
Yeah.
And become a gazillionaire.
Right. I mean, if GM had bought that up, they would have put everybody else out of business.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Why would you not use the latest technology? You would.
We're going to get to another thing, another little shibboleth here in just a second. It's kind of interesting. So let me just finish. Counselor, at the consumer advocacy group Public Knowledge, this is what Charlotte's saying. She says that in order to foster competition, we need to break everything up. We should, and this is the thing I always like about governments. Here's the word they use. We should proactively promote, which means there's no problem here yet, but we see it on the horizon, so we're going to go now.
Yeah.
Proactively promote competition through prohibitions and on discrimination and interoperability,
Interoperability?
yes, interoperability, right, requirements, and in some cases, structural separation. So,
Guns.
God,
Guns.
I mean,
They're
this
going to go
this
into
is
the
bureaucratic.
They're going to go into a
gobbledygook.
room
I can't
full
even
of
say it.
nerds, okay,
Right.
who are actively programming computers, and they're going to order half of you that side of the room, you that side of the room,
Yeah.
and never to be. Don't talk anymore.
Right,
No more.
firewall, whatever,
No
yeah.
more communication.
Yeah.
It's like what? It's just amazing how they would prevent
Well,
intelligent humans from cooperating
well,
voluntarily.
one of the things they're going to break up this monopoly, and how do you break up a monopoly? You have a bigger monopoly.
Well, yeah, you send
The
in
one
the
for
guns.
the guns.
You send in
yeah,
the guns.
I mean, that's the huge.
You get a
have
court
you have
order.
an I don't know what Google is worth. I mean, I think now they said that they're up there, but all those things are worth in the percentage of a trillion. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have a $4.7 trillion economy come after your ass. Mm-hmm. I mean, who's going to control? Who controls the controllers? I mean, what happens when they march in legally with guns ablazing? And you know, and in order to foster competition, where's their competition?
I'm with you. I mean, I don't think that the activists on the far left understand the monster that they're creating.
That's exactly right.
You know,
The monster. I mean, that is exactly right. It's my monster. Well, not until it gets out of control.
That's right. It is now. Well, yeah, exactly.
And until the next guy comes around. And that's one of the things that they talk about quite often is when they have the nuclear one of the things that happened not too long ago was when Harry Reid and the Democrats passed the nuclear option.
Right.
And then it came back to bite their ass.
Of course it does.
And so you know, be careful what you wish for. And this is what happens all the time. So anyway, but moving on, more about Elizabeth. Facebook. It says here, proves Elizabeth Warren's point by deleting her ads about breaking up Facebook. This is hysterical. I mean, they got to be idiots, of course, but they did.
Why? Yeah, that's incredible.
But I mean, you know, they're poking the bear.
How could they not understand? I mean, they really thought
It's probably
for
an
a minute.
algorithm.
Well, I mean, it must, but but it couldn't have been. Think about it. It couldn't have been an algorithm. It had to have been a person, and that person had to have been thinking to themselves, well, if it's not on our platform, nobody will see it.
Right.
Which, like,
Yeah.
okay,
So
there
anyway.
are competitors, and everybody did see it, and they say Facebook proved her point by deleting the ads. No. Everybody else unproved her point
Right.
by showing that they deleted the ads.
Right. They got it backwards. So anyway, they after they'd been reported in Politico or whatever it was, they put them back.
Right.
The ads,
Well,
they all
yeah,
came
sure,
back,
why not?
and we removed the ads because they violated our policies against use of corporate logo. In the interest of allowing robust debate, we are restoring the ads. So you know, we first.
What a lie.
I mean, well, of course, this is when one of the things that when elephants start to fight, the mice get out of the way. I mean, the fact is these are titans. Well, of course, they say one of the titans has huge tusks and the other one is large but no tusks. So see the parallel there. You see the simile, the metaphor, or whatever. Okay. Okay. Moving on. Let me just move on here. So we're in more political correctness. The world's first genderless AI voice. Researchers launch a neutral-sounding Q. They're calling it Q. That's neither male nor female in a fight to fight bias in smart assistants. I am sitting here laughing my ass off because one of the things that they did in jet planes, I think it was in the fighters, was they put a female voice in there because the guys listen to a female voice. I mean, you don't want a genderless. You don't want to shut the door. This was hey, honey,
Right.
aim your guns to the right. You
Right,
know,
exactly.
Your gear is still up, hon.
That's right. That's right.
So you didn't want a genderless voice.
Right.
Talk to Apple, Siri, or Amazon's Alexa,
Well,
and you'll notice that a common trait they both have female voices. What?
Says who?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Says who? I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a male
I
voice.
think they are dead naming Siri and Alexa there.
That's right.
For all I know, they're trans robots.
Of course they are. You know,
But no, what I don't. Okay, so but are they going to do all the genders?
I don't know.
I mean, they
There's
need
60 genders.
That's right. They need to do all the and all the races too. I think they should do all the dialects.
That's another one. Yes, that's the other one. Okay, honey, I tell you now, this is not good.
That's right. I mean, how I think it's insulting to not do that.
Sig Kampf. Hey, you get off this.
That's
Okay.
right.
While the help can make robotic assistants more relatable and natural to converse with.
Yeah, right.
I mean, this is what a bunch of. I can't believe this. The people actually work. They get paid for this.
Right. Well, and you know that Google and Amazon did a freaking study, and I mean, you know that
They had-
it was not
They had
an
okay,
accident.
Right now, they have a focus group of millions. I mean, so it's you as soon as they would be bombarded with 1 million people saying, "That sounds like my girlfriend. Get her off of there." or something.
Right. Well, this is just corporate advertising for
I
these
suppose
guys,
it is.
You know.
They're hoping to. The voice called Q was created by researchers from Copenhagen Pride. Figure it out.
Yeah.
Copenhagen Pride. I wonder what that's all about. Equality Campaign Orchestration. Their organization was called Equal All and Virtue. So they were apparently what they did is what they do in the movie. You know, a lot of times when you hear the lions roar and everything like that in movies, they've taken like in the Lion King, they take the whole lot of lions and tigers and blend them all together to make the sound. So whatever. Okay, moving along. We get to New York City once again.
New York. Aha. There we go.
Okay, thank you so much.
Well, you're in the underground because the story's about that. So.
No, it's
We had-
not actually. You're where the story is. The story is about the city has a plan to outlaw feeding squirrels and pigeons, and there's a fierce debate because if you see the meme is the people, literally the elderly people, or with their grandchildren, they take a bag of peanuts or whatever it is, or bread or what, and they sit on the park bench, and for an hour or something they feed the
There's a
squirrel.
cop right there with a stick.
Right, that's
like
right.
waiting
Hey,
for the old lady.
Bang.
Bam!
Or they arrest the little kid. The little kid's out in the field, you know.
Right, right.
So if they take off him,
Right.
you're going. So anyway, this means that feeding birds and squirrels, which many people love to do, could mean fines or even jail time. And that's sparking a heated debate among the 5 boroughs. It is currently illegal, this is interesting, it is illegal to feed any wildlife except for squirrels and birds such as pigeons, but the Parks Department, now this brings up another thing, the Parks Department is proposing the rule to be changed to ban on feeding of all animals. Now this is one of those things that we've talked about before, and that is, this is not, the Parks Department apparently is the legislative body all of a sudden. I mean, they are independent of the city council, I mean, they're not really. They were created by a legislative body, but now they have full jurisdictional arrest, conviction and everything. They're like a little mini government. They can do whatever they want to do. And who are you going to appeal to? The Parks Department? Yeah, I don't like the fact that you arrested him. Yeah, well, come along.
Yeah. Well, and the way that works actually is you do have to appeal to the Parks Department.
I know.
And then if the Parks Department rules that they ruled correctly, then you're done. And because unfortunately, you're supposed to be able to appeal it to judges and courts, actual courts.
Right.
But there's a ruling, which we've talked about in the courts before, Chevron, and it basically gives the administrative agencies a huge amount of deference. And they have to really trample some rights for you to get into the courts out of the Parks Department.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah, you did.
Well, I mean, you told me about it once before, but no, seriously, I thought you always, if you were wronged, that you always had, up to the Supreme Court.
You always do, theoretically.
I love that.
Air
Always.
quotes, right? Air quotes everywhere. And so, but look, this is, I should mention this in the context of the other story that we're going to have to talk about today, which is the Manafort resentencing and recharging and stuff. And it comes down to this. There used to be double jeopardy in this country. It used to, if you got charged in one jurisdiction and you got acquitted, you were not going to be recharged.
Right.
Well, that's dead.
No, I know.
And the reason is because of what you just mentioned, which is the overlapping jurisdictions of all these people. If they charge you in state court and then they acquit you, they can just pick up the charges and run over to federal court and charge you in federal court most of the time. The federals didn't used to have crimes. That was all state stuff.
Right.
But now it's just overlapping. Now you have administrative agencies, and you can violate on all kinds of different levels. So.
Yeah.
It's hideous.
And well, and not only that, in some places, like here in Gainesville, the courts are like across the street from each other.
Yeah, you literally go across the street.
Literally go across the street. Let me gather up my papers here.
That's
I'm out here, right? Oh my God. So anyway, said, but here's the rationale. Of course, public safety, always public safety. A Parks Department spokesperson claimed that food left on the ground, like it's left on the ground, right? You got a million pigeons, a million squirrels. I don't care what it is. Every little crumb is going to disappear. But anyway, food left on the ground is an open invitation to rodents.
And that's why you're in the sewer.
That's right.
So
That's why I'm in the sewer with
that's
the
right.
rodents.
That's right.
Now I understand. Thank you so much.
It's about that. That's what it's about. They're trying to control the rat population, and so they're going to prevent people from feeding pigeons.
Right.
It's like, come on, you guys, do something
I'm in
different.
the sewer.
Release a bunch of snakes or something. I mean, come on, think outside the box. But
Never can happen.
No,
Because what well, you can't do that. Well, the only time you can think outside the box is if you have a group, a bureau that thinks that, because that way nobody gets blamed if it all goes wrong.
Right.
Yeah. It
Well,
was
what about,
decided.
like,
That's when the passage.
What if they were to loose like a bunch of rat-eating tarantulas? You know,
Yeah.
a bunch of giant tarantulas that eat rats.
That'd be perfect.
That'd be great.
Little Johnny's, and of course, what would happen is they would breed, and the tarantulas would be large enough to be eat kids. Who knows? They get rid of the pigeons too. So anyway, so they help. They think it'll help keep the parks clean. So he goes on here and says, we have a very bad rat population here. But one of the things that is interesting is that they did I forget who it was, did a study on the rat population and of course where it really hurts is the way they put their trash out in New York City. It's all in plastic bags. Well, the rats are not idiots, and every night they come out of the sewer it's chow time,
right.
And they come out, they tear into these plastic bags, and of course if there's a sanitary strike for a day or two, I mean, it's like rat city. One of the things a lot of people don't realize is how they breed. I mean, they have litters of a dozen at a time, and they can get pregnant like right after they have their first. So anyway,
I blame all this on trash collection, just what you just said.
Yeah.
If there's a problem, it's because somebody's leaving out the trash.
Yeah.
Well, there's an agency that's designated to pick up the trash.
Yeah.
And apparently.
Well, this park spokesman added, of course, not to be outdone. This is one of the things I always say. If you have to have 3 or 4 excuses for one thing, then And he says that human food is unhealthy. And animals should not become. I'm going like, are you kidding me? Human food is unhealthy. You got peanuts. You're cracking. This is unhealthy.
Yeah, right. Here's the pigeon scrambling for its life out there.
I'll tell you, this is it's what is it interesting. I think about this all the time. Would you look in the mirror and say that again and not just break down laughing? Do you hear yourself? Mm-hmm. Just is so funny. Minority students offered no whites safe space in racial healing circle. Now this happens to be at San Diego State University. This is in California, which, as we know, is I say it's gone around the bend, or it's gone off the deep end, or whatever the hell it is. The San Diego State University is set to host a racial healing workshop for minority students and faculty. Minority faculty, too, later this month, that aims to help students and professors of color get through college and career life. So now they're going to have a seminar, a workshop. This intimate 1.5-hour racial healing workshop catered to students and faculty of color will be led by well-known professor Dr. Cheryl Matthias. So the student organizer. The event is called the Marriage and Family Therapy Association is the sponsor, a recognized student organization. She will provide a safe space for students and faculty of color to discuss issues that impact persons of color in higher academia. The event's online description states Dr. Matthias will facilitate group healing, and no, not they, but she will provide tools to help people of color navigate racialized spaces at higher education and professional fields. She, of course, now right away, got a little problem here, a little gender identity, so who knows. You sit there. This is it's going so far off the rails. This stuff, it's just mind-boggling. I'm going to move along here.
Okay.
More education news.
Okay.
This is great. Felicity Huffman.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
Felicity Huffman and Lori Loughlin charged in a college admission scheme with more than 40 others. Mm-hmm. What they did, this is hysterical. I mean, in a way, in this day and age especially. The Hollywood stars allegedly joined CEOs of private and public companies, real estate professionals, and fashion designer in paying up to $6 million in bribes to ensure that their children were accepted to schools such as Yale and Georgetown. Most of the parents paid $250,000 to $400 per student. Now, you got your little girl here, she's a senior, whatever it is, you want her to go to a really nice school, and maybe her grades aren't totally up to snuff. Maybe she's only got a 4.0. I don't know, in this day and age. And of course, as you know, you have early admissions. You usually start to apply in the fall before you're going to go the next fall, and so forth. The alleged scheme, which the FBI called a nationwide conspiracy, allowed parents to pay for their children to cheat on exams. They did everything. They hired faux students to go in and take the exams. They also, what they did is they'd go to, apparently some people that were trying, they would go to the coaches at these elite schools and say, look, my kid's a kicker, or my kid's a rower, or my kid's a wrestler, or whatever it is. Let him in on a wrestler scholarship. And they would bribe the coach. Well, you know, now the football coaches get way too much money, but if you happen to be the ladies wrestler coach and somebody says,
how about $100,000?
How about $100,000, right? You know, you come on in. We'll train her. You know, that kind of stuff. So top colleges were among those charged, but authorities said they are not investigating the schools, just the people. Anyway, they agreed to pay $500,000 in exchange for having their two daughters recruited to be part of the University of Southern California crew team. Mm-hmm. See, not the crew. Women, yeah. You know, the crew, it's not, you know, what does that person get paid? The crew chief person. Yeah. Nothing. Despite the fact the girls didn't participate in the sport. But I thought it was interesting that what's the FBI doing in this?
Exactly. That was
the FBI?
My first thought was, are you kidding me? I mean, it's, you know, this last week we busted Al Capone and eradicated organized crime. And this week, 14 soccer moms. And, well, I mean, come on. To me, and I think about this and I think to myself, what kind of sentences these people are potentially facing. And I have to remind everybody, jail is a cage. You know, it's a cage for an animal. Mm-hmm. And the only reason you need to put somebody in a cage is you can't control them any other way. Right. They're going to go hurt somebody or cause real damage, okay? This to me sounds like civil stuff. You want to sue Felicity and those people? And
for what?
Well, damages to the college. I mean, let's face it, the colleges, their reputations are now damaged. In fact, it's worse now that they went nationwide with this thing, because now you have to ask yourself when you meet somebody from one of these colleges, well, did they bribe them their way in?
So what? And number one, we've had that for 40 years on the
legacy stuff.
Well, not only the legacy, that's always been there.
Right.
But were you a legacy? But wait, it was also because, remember
charitable donations.
No, they had that too, of course, always.
Yeah.
But the other thing is the affirmative action.
Right.
Where you just can't walk past anybody in any class and just wonder if this person wasn't elevated one way or the other.
Well, but that damages their reputation.
Absolutely.
Now, they embraced that, but this is something that apparently the schools themselves didn't embrace.
Right.
So, okay, I can see, you know, you're mad at the coach or whatever, the parents and stuff, but when I think about federal punishment and sending Felicity Huffman to federal prison because she tried to get her daughter into USC still, whatever. I mean, to me, it's this is just way overkill.
Well, Felicity, I guess she's attractive, so this is a Martha Stewart thing.
The Martha, what you mean?
Because she was a girl, you know, and then set her up as an example. She's going to federal jail.
Right.
So why not Felicity? Show we're equality. Everybody goes to jail.
I would not be at all surprised if the prosecutor on this case decides to run for office in a few years. Right. And their claim to fame is putting soccer moms in jail for trying to get their kids into college.
She hardly qualifies as a soccer mom, but still.
To me, I mean,
but yes.
she's not a hardened criminal. She's not anybody. She's not defrauding other groups or anything. She doesn't have a criminal enterprise. She doesn't hurt people. You know, she doesn't deal drugs or anything like that. She tried to get her daughter into a college, and yeah, okay, she tried to cheat or whatever, or maybe so, or that's the allegation. And okay, but I mean, to me, the harm is fairly negligible, and it's
negligible.
certainly
It's
not
nothing.
warranted.
And let me tell you something.
The federal prison sentence.
One of the things, when you realize that this guy like David Hogg got admitted to Harvard for his activation, or
Right.
automatically got in.
Yeah,
Look, here's the deal: if your name is Julie Huffman, or
That's why I don't understand
and you're
how
going
they
to college,
couldn't get
you know,
there.
you're a celebrity. Look,
I don't understand how why the celebrities needed to go through these back channels. I mean, how come the celebrities couldn't just donate the $500,000 directly to the school, and like you said, and you get my famous daughter, and you can use her in advertising.
I don't know.
And it doesn't make sense. And they must have
that's the other
tried that, and it didn't work. They must have had they must have said, your daughter's just too dumb to go to school here or something. And then they said, well, okay, how about a bribe then?
And of course, again,
another bribe.
Well,
A
like I
different
say,
bribe.
well, the deal is that what they did is they went behind the administration.
Right.
Obviously, they didn't go to the administrative people,
Right.
the admissions people, excuse me,
Right.
and say, we'll bribe you. No, she
Right.
can't get in.
See,
No.
that would have been perfectly okay.
Yeah,
To
right.
bribe, because there's probably it's a school. I mean, what do you want? That's what they're there for, is to take your money and to take your kid. You know, I mean, that's
Well, of course, it's this particular one, San Diego State or whatever, is a state university.
some of them are state. Yeah, okay.
But a private one, you know, if it's Yale or something.
Yeah,
you
I mean,
know,
USC I think is private, and
yeah.
So,
So anyway, I thought I just, like I said, my first question was FBI.
yeah.
I mean, don't you have better things to do?
Yeah, I mean,
we had a Mueller investigation.
They went in there like these people were Roger Stone.
And of course, what happens?
Perp walk them out with 43 people.
Well, not only that, they can
and
also.
a boat and a helicopter at 6 a.m.
Well, they.
trying to get your daughter into college.
Oh, she.
Yeah, it's it. Hut, 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 hut.
That's right.
You know.
So the other thing is, and they ask them, you know, surreptitiously.
Drop your weapons!
That's
You're
right.
coming in!
What's the
Felicity,
password to this gate?
is this a full house?
I tell you,
Come
what
on,
a hoot.
man.
Anyway, the last thing I have here is kind of another irony. China lawmakers urge easing of family planning curves as birth rates plunge.
Yeah.
You don't remember this, but years and years ago, 40
I
years
remember.
ago,
Yeah.
40 years ago or something, they instituted the one child rule.
And a male child.
Male child. Well, that was the other thing, and of course abortions went through the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, they were saying, nudge, nudge, you need an abortion to the women who happened to have what they determined was a female child, and they basically, if you didn't get an abortion, you were, this is your checklist thing that we were talking about.
Yeah, you social
The early
credit score.
version of your social score, right? And so they have a plethora of guys now, first of all, who can't find wives because I don't know what the percentage is, it's way up. But the main thing is you count on the young people to pay for the old people.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the
Especially in a socialist system.
Exactly, in a socialist system where you have social security. And of course, the problem is we've noticed in Japan, especially as people live an extra 20 or 30 years and they're collecting their social security for 30 years when you weren't supposed to collect it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Then now all of a sudden they got not enough. So now they're now encouraging. Suddenly they've done a turnabout,
Yeah.
and they decided everybody go get pregnant.
And I bet you they start having a huge wave of people having lots of kids.
Right. I mean,
They'll respond.
yeah, they're not idiots.
Yeah.
You respond to incentive, even from the government, most
Yeah.
especially if you the old saying is, if you incentivize something, you get more of it. If you penalize
exactly.
it, you get less. And this one child, male child business has come back to bite them in the butt. This is so funny. I mean, the irony is very thick here. So anyway, that's pretty much what I have.
Aha. Let's see. I may have a couple of things here.
We got about 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
Although we did start a little late today.
We did. I thought it was interesting. California Governor Gavin Newsom is putting a moratorium on the death penalty in California.
Yes, I saw that. They have 700 and some people on death.
Yeah, something like that. So I think that's a positive step for what it's worth. We talked about Manafort and that kind of stuff. You know, he's getting more time.
No, we didn't talk about it.
Well, I mentioned it. I just wanted to mention it that he got resentenced in a different court, a different federal court.
Really?
Yeah, a D.C. federal court, and they gave him an additional few years. So now he's facing 7.5 years. Now he might get a Trump pardon. I suppose it's possible. Although today, New York State filed charges, ostensibly to get around. Probably. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to tell with these guys whether or not they're doing it by the book and just going down. This is the charge in this jurisdiction. We're sentencing you to that, or whether they're responding now to the news. Oh, he didn't get enough time. Well, I'll fix that. You know, and we'll charge him again here. You know, that kind of stuff. And I don't put it past prosecutors one bit.
No, that's the thing. That's the thing. It's like the mob. I mean, the fact is, they're making their bones.
I mean,
and you got to, and as we always said, the prosecutors and the judges, they'll read the newspapers.
Yeah,
they're not immune to that.
Of course.
So,
and they have lots of discretion, but all right, you saw the Tucker Carlson shenanigans.
Yes, I was going to do something about that. Go ahead, bring it up.
Well, look, here's what it comes down to. He said some stuff 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
And I'm suggesting
it was on SpongeBob and the Billy the whatever.
Yeah, Bob, whatever his name is. You know, it's not SpongeBob. Billy the Love Bob of the Love Sponge.
Love Sponge. Bob of the Love Sponge, which was a shock show.
Right, of course. But even so, I'm going to go out right now and say, look, we need to establish a 10-year moratorium on things that you said. Okay, stuff you said 10 years ago.
Well, you know, you can say that, but I will say this: if somebody 80 years old and they go back to when he was 70.
Well, okay, yeah, maybe it should be a percentage. I'm
thinking percentage, yeah, because.
Well, well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe,
that's nitpicky.
That's a good point, though.
Because if you're 17,
right,
you could certainly go back 3 or 4 years and say, "Whoa, wait a minute! I didn't do that. That was when I was younger. That's not me, right?"
Right.
So, like you say, maybe
there's some kind of time frame, but from my
but that has to be voluntary.
Yeah, I mean,
no law.
Well, yeah, it's just insanity. I just now, and then there should be like a list of stuff you've already apologized for, like on your website. And then if somebody brings up one of those things again, you just refer them to the website, because otherwise they can tie you up forever and just apologize for stuff.
At least the good news was he fought back.
Well, I know he said he's not going to apologize and whatever. And of course, somebody says got to freaking put their foot down at some point, because. They do in this country tear you up for apologies. You know, we have this culture of as soon as you confess, then it really gets bad.
Right.
And so it's like that's just an awful.
Well, that's when you become. When you confess, like Manafort or any of these other people that confess to, now you're a known liar.
Right.
Nothing else you ever say is going to be truthful.
Right. No, it's a hideous cultural adaptation. We don't have a good culture for forgiveness. As amazing as it sounds, as Christians, you'd think we would have more of that, more mercy, more forgiveness.
You know, let me tell you something. We don't, and we never have. One of the deals is I remember from you as a child, if you did something when you're 7, 8, 9, or 10 years old, and you're 60. And they'll say, well, that's little broken.
Right.
That's broken window Bobby.
Window Bobby.
I'm telling you, you don't outlive it.
Well,
I knew he was going to grow up bad.
Tell you what. Philadelphia has banned some cashless stores.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, I did see. So what's with that? Is that because they were robbed all the time? Or?
No. I think it has to do with, I think it's some kind of a class or race initiative.
Really?
You know, they're trying to say, your cash is no good here in certain stores or something, and because you're black or something. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to imagine, because in Philadelphia, I mean, the demographics are quite mixed.
Really? But I mean, they're really segregated too. Well, I mean, but here's the deal. When you pick out your thing and it says, this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private.
Not here.
But not here.
That's it. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of interesting. SpaceX docked an unmanned probe onto the space station.
Wow.
Last week. Which is kind of nice.
It's beautiful.
Oh, yeah, on here. Let me do this again. SpaceX has.
Here.
There you go. That's right. Has so you gotta applaud Elon there.
Totally.
For crushing it. I just love it.
Well, it just shows you, as always, the private sector. Now, people are going to say, well, you know, NASA did it first and you got all the lessons written. No, no. It would have happened. And as far as I'm concerned, brilliant minds are brilliant minds. So,
Of course, and when it gets to be useful, people will do stuff. They'll
well,
do.
that's why they always say that we wouldn't have the internet if it wasn't for DARPA. And when they did it, well, BS. We would.
I'm with you. We totally would. And then finally, my light note of the day is that
This looks like a light note to me, but go ahead.
my light note of the day is that kids are being authorized to skip school on Friday to fight climate change.
No.
Yes.
And
Yes,
this
we're going to be shamed into climate change by our children on Friday, who will protest their free educations by walking out.
okay, so they're gonna. Okay, and the parents are all for this. The ones that have both of them work. And I'm sorry, Mom, I get today off.
All I know is it's a thing that's happening, so the parents must be at least sitting on the sidelines.
Yeah, well, how long is that going to be?
I don't know.
I say about the first Friday. They're going to be.
I mean, why wouldn't you have a Friday protest every Friday for a different topic?
Well,
I
there
mean,
you go.
it's just insanity to have the kids. It's like having a sick out day at work or something.
Well, what's interesting,
It's even worse
along
than
this
that.
line, I remember one time I wrote a letter into our local rag here, Mullet Wrapper, and what happened is they had a teachers' march for higher wages on down the main University Avenue here, and in front was this little 6-year-old girl with a little sign that said, "I'm for higher," whatever it is.
Right.
Well, I did a little research and found out that the one that was in back of her mother was a cafeteria worker. And so this wasn't exactly for the teachers, but, you know, they shoved the little girl out there in the front. And I said, don't you feel any kind of thing at all that you're using your little girl as a shield?
Yeah,
and
no.
when you think about it, you know, that's what they do in war countries when
Right.
they put the women and children out in front to stop the guns.
Yeah, no, they're not thinking of it like that.
I know they're not.
I
Obviously
guarantee
they're not.
you that they're thinking that, oh, well, they won't believe me, but if they care about children at all, then
I'm surprised they didn't put a couple people out there in wheelchairs, you know, because it's the children.
The
in
disabled
the
children.
The disabled, oh yes,
That's
the little
right.
children on crutches.
that's
Perfect.
right. That's right.
Perfect.
Disabled minority children for climate change.
That's right.
Is what is
And they
what
only speak Spanish.
That's right. That's the next movement. So, anyway, insanity. So, all right. Well, I guess we will wrap it up since we've got.
Finished everything.
Yeah, pretty much. So.
So now, this was straight to YouTube this time.
Yes, it was. It looked like it went out pretty well. We dropped 4% of the frames. So I'll have to double check and see.
But we'll have to find out what happened to Facebook because somebody has gotten in there and hacked Facebook. Can you imagine? They got like 4 billion people or something on Facebook, and suddenly, at least as I could tell, when I just fired it up here on my Teleo phone, it's been out for a couple of hours, I guess. Maybe not, but it's just.
I don't know. I thought
It's certainly not this. It's certainly not our router because we're on.
It looks like it's up on some. My Apple, it looks like it's up, but other ones it doesn't. So I don't know. This is Kevin MacLeod. This track is called Cold Funk. Earlier you heard Whiskey on the Mississippi, and you may hear Happy Happy Game Show in a minute. We thank Kevin profusely for helping us out with this, loaning us his tracks. I am Counselor Curtis. This is the Jimmy Doan Show. Join us Sunday and Wednesday, 4 o'clock. We be here and other places as well. You can find us. So, see you soon.
No, it looks like Facebook is still down. Near as I can tell.